when player play Fortune, so they have like a small like a sound of it. Do you think you're okay with like give it a little try?
I'll try. I'm not very good at this stuff, but I'll try.
Okay.
福星福星，
福星，
神志不清。
福星，心出不清，不听，就玩福星。
Yeah, exactly. 嘿，兄弟们，这次我和TOO一起邀请到了云顶设计师 Mort 来了抢真人对线。我没想到采访一上来，设计师就被迫营业，TOO真的是坏得很呐。这一次我们提前收集了很多问题，大部分都是大家很想知道的。那我们废话不多说，直接冲！第一个问题，很多玩家在玩福星的时候不知道会出什么东西，只知道连败越多越好。有没有考虑过给福星一个连败计数器，并且显示对应连败次数的奖励呢？
Yeah, now that the team size is growing, we can finally hit some of our bigger backlog projects, and that's a really big one is like UI that can change based on what's going on. What we always wanted was, like you said, like a fortune counter, whether that been like boxes growing or something in the UI that showed like it's growing. So yes, we need to develop that tech, and we're starting to finally have the time to develop that tech. So you can expect hopefully future traits that need that kind of counter, we'll start getting them.
接下来是第二个问题，很多玩家都会开黑去玩娱乐赛，制定特定的规则。那么官方会给云顶加入新的娱乐休闲模式吗？
Are we thinking about more casual modes? Like I said, I do think now that our team is growing, in addition to sets, we want to do new modes. Turbo mode is our first one. I think social mode should be our second one. Will we do more after that? Yeah. Will it be PvE, or you start with 50 gold, or who knows what it'll be yet? But I definitely think TFT is ripe for expanding its core gameplay into other things. So.
看来设计师也觉得云顶之弈可以拓展新的模式的。兄弟们，大家有什么规则可以打在弹幕出来分享一下。第三个问题，很多人一直都在问为什么云顶之弈不出一个 Tab 键，这样可以一键查看别人的阵容，非常的方便。我们来听一下 Mort 是怎么说的。
So we purposely don't want to do that. We know it's definitely handy and would make the game easier to play. But the other thing it does is it makes the game feel like less social and less like you're in a world, and more like you're playing spreadsheets. And we really want to avoid that. We've seen other games where it's like you just never look at anyone else's board, you never have moments, you just press tab and go, oh, okay, cool. So because of that reason, we've chosen to keep that UI out of the game, and we're probably sticking to that decision.
如此看来，设计师不太喜欢云顶有计分板这个功能。大家就先打消这个念头吧。接下来问题是英雄更新方面，以前的赛季有海克斯、潘森、卡莎、月食等英雄和羁绊一次的加入，但是从 S3 开始就变成了季中更新的模式。想问一下，以后还会回到旧的更新模式吗？还是说会保持季中更新的模式？
So we're pretty happy with the mid-set updates. We think those give us more bang for our buck. That being said, I'm trying to think of how much I can say here without spoiling the future too much. We're still experimenting with the right timing for sets, and certainly agree that Fates has ended up a bit longer than we'd like.
那接下来应该都是季中更新的模式了。值得一提的是 S4 前半赛季比 S3 的前半赛季多了1个月，大家有没有感觉到时间太长了，还是说你们可以接受？大家可以把你们的想法打在弹幕上。好，那接下来的问题是，设计师有没有觉得法师和夜幽、明咒和未来战士其实这些东西都差不多呢？换了一个羁绊的名字而已，其实是换汤不换药的。
Yeah, so our goal is obviously we want each trait to be distinct and unique. That is definitely the goal. What is the trait doing, right? Because you can make the same argument with like Vanguards and Brawlers are both just frontline, you know, and that's true, but we need so many frontline champs in the game, and we can only do it through various stats. One of the things that's going to be up to the team to do in the future is come up with clever ways of doing the same things we've already done for 4 sets now. And TFT only has so many stats, so one of our big challenges moving forward is using those stats in new ways to create new traits.
确实是这样的。其实云顶之弈也才刚发布1年半，大家可以多给设计师们一点时间去创新一些新的系统和机制。那接下来问题是，我们有考虑过去重新改动这个装备系统吗？
Right now, I would say we don't have any major plans other than trying to continue to improve some of the ones that aren't working, like say Frozen Heart, for example. But that being said, artifacts is something we always wanted to do. It was a pitch we'd actually had all the way back in set 2, and we finally got it in for set 4. So we definitely think there is room to expand the item system. You know, something like he mentioned, We used to joke around that if you had red buff and blue buff on the same character, they would transform into Baron buff. And that would be a fun little trick to do. And so it wouldn't surprise me if in the future we do end up doing something like that, but nothing in the immediate roadmap.
将来会改装备。今年的峡谷就好像增加了很多神话装备，大家想在云顶看到哪一件峡谷的神话装备登场呢？下一个问题，在英雄联盟宇宙里，有很多城邦和派系都是可以作为羁绊的，所以说在未来，我们是否会像 S1 一样重启经典的皮肤作为新赛季的羁绊主题呢？
For sure. I can't say when or which set, but I think it would be foolish of us to not go back to, like you said, those classic skins, Noxious, Demacia, things like that. So absolutely at some point there will be a set that returns back to the classic.
兄弟们确定了，未来肯定会做到新的城邦系列的主题，好像艾欧尼亚还没有做成羁绊，那你们最期待哪一个城邦做成新的羁绊呢？那下一个问题我要帮广大的剑姬玩家问话了众所周知峡谷里面有很多瑞文和剑姬的绝活歌，那在云顶里面的瑞文是4费牌技能 Q12， 而剑姬3个赛季全是1费卡呀，你们是觉得剑姬不配做成高费卡吗？这个问题问出去我怕我人没了。
Yeah, so we actually wanted Fiora to be a 4-cost 4 Fates. That was the original vision of Fiora. But due to time, we couldn't quite get her spell right, so we had to make her a reprint instead. We just ran out of time.
等等，没时间做了。可是另外一个设计师还有时间去制作美食视频呢，好家伙。
That being said, everyone on the team agrees that Fiora is due. She should not be put in 1 cost forever. So we will definitely be looking for the opportunity for Fiora to be a stronger 3 or 4 cost.
可以，看来设计师也觉得剑姬该提升下地位了。那么想问一下，是否有考虑把重做前的剑姬大招放到云顶之弈里面呢？
And her ult is very visually flashy, so I could totally see that being a TFT.
Mort 说有可能，那我们至少可以期待一下了。说完剑姬的问题，我们再来说一下装备槽的问题。S4.5 加了幸运花灯之后，给的道具更多了，我们会发现10个装备槽不够用。那之后有考虑增加更多的装备槽吗？
Short term, the real answer is nothing, because you should have your items on the board. But long term, you saw with the new item UI, we tried to get the items off the board and into the HUD. If we can make that done successfully, then expanding item slot isn't that hard.
不知道大家有没有见过美策服的新装备 UI 呢？那这个 UI 界面未来肯定是要时装的，大家如果有什么改动的实际好意见都可以提出来，我会帮忙转达给设计师的。那下一个问题呢，就是关于别的设计师的，是一个很有趣的问题。我想问一下，破败之王和塞拉斯的设计师，他们近来还好吗？
How's the designer of Silas and the Rune King? How's he doing? Like, is he healthy and all that?
He's doing okay. He's lost his hair, but other than that, he's doing okay.
那我还有一个问题不敢直接问，我让拳头的猛男帮我问一下。
Still a question for Summoner's Rift for League of Legends as a whole. So right now he believes that Summoner's Rift support is kind of strong, kind of overpowered, especially when support got some items. You agree with that, right? When you got some, especially some tanky supports, when they get items, they become really strong. And sometimes supports will be able to solo kill an AD carry when they got the correct item. Like Leona is pretty strong. So he's like, absolutely serious question is that when are we gonna delete AD carry?
Do you remember when the meta was like brand bot lane and mages bot lane like Ziggs?
Yeah, I remember that.
We tried to delete AD carries. We tried.
Okay.
It just,
all right.
all these players are like, but I miss Caitlyn. So maybe we'll try again in the future.
Okay.
好的，各位，以上就是我收集到的问题，而设计师给出了所有的答案。那除了以上的问题以外呢，我个人还向设计师追问了一个问题。我问设计师你平时关不关注国服的云顶玩家的社区？能不能听到我们中国玩家的呼声以及需求？我们来看一下设计师是怎么说的。
Yeah, the honest answer is not enough. I've tried to occasionally, but finding time to do that and keep an eye on the other regions as well. I admit I sometimes lean a little too heavily into NAEU. It's something I personally am looking to fix. especially knowing how large our China audience is, but as well as like LATAM is another region I kind of haven't paid a ton of attention to. So I'm trying to find a better way to understand all those metas, because like it's easy to just load up an NA player on Twitch. It's much harder to find how the China meta is doing. But 100% agree, we need to get better at that, is the honest answer.